We are, just got here. We're just Hi, Jen.
Hi. Hi.
We are, just got here. We're just kind of eating.
Lady?
Hi. Hi, Heather. How you doing? Good. How are you?
Great. It was threatening. What's over there? The rain? It was raining hard between...
Oh, no. We did not.
Outside of Hanksville, it was raining hard.
Where's our camp?
Hope it's not coming this way. Nah.
Stay away from the R words today.
Woo. In the morning. Brady's gonna try to ski behind the sea-doo.
Shane, let go for a sec.
There's Andy. Nick, you wake up. Doesn't really feel like it at the moment. Those Hurry, hurry. Plant. They're trying. Yeah. There they are. Got up after 5 hours. Just kidding. Yeah. There he is, little skier. There you are.
Hi, Terry.
Hi. Look at, we're here in the canyon, gonna have lunch now. This is the canyon wall.
I don't want to say anything, guys. Like, get in the boat.
Oh, close up of Jen and Greg.
Hey, wait.
What?
I'll show you something.
Okay.
Ready?
Uh-huh. Oh, nice. Aww. Hey. Hi, guys.
Hey.
You having fun?
Yeah.
You're looking like you're having so much fun, you're going to be whistling Dixie.
No.
Where's the hidden sandbar? Right where we
Dan, can you knock that thing out?
And here we are. In the canyon.
Kick that out.
Well, I'll get it.
Brady!
Life jackets.
Oh,
Brady got up about 6 feet in the air. Craig. Craig's gonna switch you.
We'll take it.
Jim got the height, but he definitely got the speed. How fast is he going?
Not that fast, but when I guess when you whip
Whipping
him.
him out, yeah.
His face.
Like, turn it down.
Craig, I guess the best thing to do, Brady said.
Don't start it right till he gets up.
Greg, move. Sorry, Craig.
Mickey. Heather.
Can we get my calendar?
It's beautiful. We're all natural.
So you do one turn.
You turn like on our anniversary. Yeah, that looks right.
It's Brady's and Ashley's birthday party. There's Ashley's little table. There's Mom and Dad and Freddie and David and Ty and Dan and Heather and Ashley's grandpa. Dan and Brady. There's Brady's table. That's the birthday scene. We're at the pool. And it's August 1st. Party. Hey Jason!
Hey, Terry wants you to see monkeys.
Who's the monkeys? Oh, there's a monkey. There's Grandma. Hi, Trevor. Trevor, look.
Does anyone want
Hi.
to see my new matching ring and bracelet?
Yeah, let's see if we can see it. Ooh, look. Guest of honor. Ashley! Hi! Hi! Ashley!
Jace, this way.
Ashley!
Jace, come this way.
Ashley!
What a cutie.
On her first birthday. It's her birthday. Hi, big girl.
You tell her how old you
Rough
are?
spot.
Tell her one. Tell her one. She
Yeah.
learned one.
Did she? Are you one?
Tell her one.
Show me one. Ashley, one. One.
They never do it on cue.
I know.
But she sings, Terry.
Guest of honor.
He called and said that he had a family party, which was going to be a little late.
Who is that?
Craig.
Oh.
Craig,
How old are you, Brady?
22, and he's not cold.
I'm not 22.
And he's working. 23,
No. Try it again.
24.
Okay.
And Greg's grandfather died, so he's not cold. That's actually good, though. He was good.
There's
He has
Ashley's
0
grandma
minus.
and her friends.
Totally.
Just to be out of control.
Whoa. It's not focusing right.
Video?
Hi, guys.
I've decided that
Happy birthday to Brady.
happy birthday to Brady. They're just kind of partial.
Here we go. That's Big Fred
Fire.
cooking. He's the head chef. There's Lanita and Stacy and Nancy.
24.
Little Ashley.
Too old. We can start the party.
Craig and Amy. Hi guys. We got a treat for Brady. Are you excited?
Do you remember the Ewings?
Amy's conveniently staring at the pool.
I know.
This is Terry's mom and dad.
You were eating corn.
Guys, come here. Put your corn
Let
down.
me see, Trevor. You like that corn?
Put your corn down. Let's wash your hands at the pool. Come here.
Put your corn on my plate, Trevor. Put your corn on my plate.
Oh,
There.
you're just trying to think of
Your corn's right there on Mommy's plate.
Hi! It's your present. Look at her. She's going shopping. Come here, Ashley. Come here. Ashley. Ashley.
Ash.
She's just walking everywhere. Ashley. Ashley. Hi. Hi. Talk to me. Hi. She is a blondie.
Dada, do you have a diaper on? Oh, good.
She's like pushing my car. I know.
Dada. Dada.
Go, Jace. What you be dreading?
Marco. Polo.
Yeah, that's what you dreading.
Hi. 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 Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Your new toy you need to play with.
We had Greg Woodward. What new toy?
I was just getting Ashley playing with her toy.
Oh. My baseball bat's over there. My CD-ROM is over there.
Who got you a CD-ROM?
Harry and Jason.
What was it?
It was, it was for a computer.
Oh.
Something about DOS. I haven't read it.
Awesome. Awesome, dude.
Then I got some cards.
Awesome, dude.
My mom got me something, I don't know what.
What did I get?
Is that the condo or?
Wingtips.
Awesome. There's Craig in the background. Hey, Craig.
Hi, Terry.
Have anything to say to Brady?
Brady's 24 today, and he's married, and he's gonna have a kid by this time next year, and I'll be paying child support.
You will be paying child support if I have a kid by this time next year.
Who's this, Trisha?
And we might have a boat. Probably won't take a couple trips, Lake Powell.
Okay, we'll watch this next year and we'll see how much of this came true.
Okay,
Okay?
that's my prediction.
I predict we'll have a kid 2 years from right now.
Okay.
And Craig won't be paying child support because he'll be married.
Yeah.
But while he's not married, he'll pay child support.
I know.
Let's hear Dan's predictions.
Hi, Dan.
Hi. What do you want to know?
Predict what's going to happen next time this year. Are you guys going to be pregnant?
You're going to be pregnant. You might even have a baby by then.
No, you guys might.
We won't even be thinking of being pregnant.
What did I say?
Next time this year.
The person who's recording this tape will be pregnant with a boy and maybe 2 boys.
Good
I think you'll get
predicament.
pregnant this December. Is that what you said? We've been talking about this when it comes to this. So
I'll be pregnant with little Danny.
What's Brady going to be doing?
Knock her up till next year.
Brady.
But you guys will have.
What are you going to be doing, Terry?
Last year I had
I don't know. Probably the same thing behind the camera.
behind it, not in front of it. Just, you know.
Trevor, whose cakes are these? What is that, Trevor? Tell me.
Where's your mom, Terry?
Is it Brady's? Birthday cake. What's that, Trevor?
It's a balloon.
A balloon.
My birthday.
When was your birthday?
Last week.
Happy birthday.
It's the only thing I
There's
got.
Brady's.
Really?
Hey, Lanita. This is all I got.
That's his only
That's
birthday gift he got.
Trevor, hi.
I figure my mom's.
Do you like that car, Trevor? Do you like that car,
That's
Trevor?
it.
It's a
Your little
balloon.
boys would get
The whole family. Ashley wants her cake.
Hey, Grandma. Uh-oh.
Ashley.
When you were back,
Really?
when you were back there for trading,
There she goes.
I went all like it.
Ashley.
Guys playing handball.
Really?
Look at her. She doesn't know which picture to look at.
Are they taking pictures of you?
Their first
Trevor's
birthday.
gonna sing a song.
How are you?
Piper Jeff.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ashley. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, help Brady blow him out.
Blow.
She knows it's something happening.
Good.
Blow
You blew them out. Now eat them.
Ashley.
Ooh, we don't eat the candle, just lick the icing off.
Yay.
Grab the cake.
Go Brady.
Okay.
Yep.
You got 3 presents.
I know, I got all my stuff. Where's our present? Stacy.
To Brady,
Is this it?
Gotta put it
our
in
gift to you.
Oh.
Hey, go ahead and open your gifts and then we'll pass out the cake, I guess. I don't know. What do you want to
They'll
do?
sit there and they'll lick all your candles for you.
All right, handle my multi-level marketing product over.
Maybe you're going to get started in New Skin.
This is to Brady from Dan Plater. Got the New Skin tapes,
Oh no.
the New Skin video.
Oh.
You're in
Start your own
business.
distributorship.
Yep, and all of my first initial supplies,
You're in business.
which has been used.
But you have to demonstrate them.
Lake Powell,
All right, we're
Cleansing
there.
Potion.
Hey, that's worth a bundle right there.
Time.
Thank you, this is full.
Need more. There's more from where that came.
There's more where that came from.
Wow.
Liquid body loofah.
Hey, I'm interested in
There's
that.
quite a bit of stuff there.
It's a mask.
It's a liquid body loofah.
Lift activator.
What's that?
Put it all over your body.
How am I supposed to know how to work this face lift stuff?
That's for me and Dad.
Oh, that's all
I'm
right.
just doing a circle.
But you'll know how to sell it.
Okay.
Oops.
Thank you.
Eat it.
Oh God, let's just listen.
Product.
My product.
Look at her. Good job, Ashley. Go for it.
She is having cake.
We want Ashley to open her presents. Maybe we should give her one and she'd be interested in the present.
Present for Ash.
Ashley is enjoying her cake. Ashley! Ashley! Ashley?
You cut her off. Okay.
Whoa! What are you doing?
Did you wrap Ashley's present?
I put in a, yeah. There's
Oh,
a-
Give you
Ash.
that bat and ball, Brady.
Craig and Amy.
Ashley!
Napkin.
Hey, your present.
Wrap it out there.
Can you tear it?
Handball play.
What's in it, Ashley? There she goes.
Oh, it's a pool. A swimming pool. That's from Shelly and Greg.
Whoops.
Okay, another one. Oh boy.
You guys want some cake in there?
That looks fun, huh?
Craig, how much you give me for that?
Oh, from
Oh, here it is.
Or, Mom, this is a little thing that lights up. You need to show this thing. Oh, how cute. What is that? Oh, how
Oh.
cute. I didn't see him with the bow.
Somebody has to stand over there to verify it.
That's so cute.
Cut up some of that one.
Thank you, guys. That was a nice present.
Parking, right? Parking.
Daddy, take her walking.
Cute wrapping paper.
Thanks.
Remember when the twins
No way, it sparks.
the roof dropped?
Did you see that just a second ago?
Let's go for a walk.
I know I've seen people.
You can see it moving around. They're enjoying her chocolate cake there. Wow. That's not as stable as her little.
Enjoyed it for a long time.
The sparks are really cool.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, when she gets a little stabler on her feet, she'll love that. She likes it.
Did you see it sparkle?
Yeah, she's staring at it. Look at her.
Okay, thanks, sweetheart.
Happy birthday. That's Stacy and Ash.
Let me see.
Olive Garden.
Yeah.
It might be the Olive Garden.
Does that mean I get to eat it too?
Yeah. Thanks,
Will you
guys.
have me my camera right behind you?
Gift certificate to the Olive Garden.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
That's very nice. Thanks, guys.
Hopefully from Nordstrom.
Okay.
And it wasn't what I got for my birthday.
Son, happy 24th. We're at ISU games with Mom and Dad.
We got fire! We got fire on the flag!
There's two pictures. There's two.
Just to wear to ISU games.
Excellent.
Boring.
Will you open that for her?
Orange t-shirt for ISU games.
Are you excited?
Yeah. We're going to the first game on September 4th.
Sorry, wipes his face.
Tell her what it
My face is itchy.
Turn it over.
The twins are helping her.
It's a dolly.
Yes, she's
Don't give it to her now. She'll get it. Honey. Political correctness. Political correctness now.
Ashley.
Did your family all get cake?
Yeah, they did.
There, look.
You've got a present. Hey, take her another one.
Okay.
She might get it all chocolatey.
I know.
Uh-oh.
We can have it later.
Look at this though.
Help her open that one. Help her open that one so she's happy. Take it over by her.
Ladies are helping.
Did we get through?
There. Oh.
Show Ashley. It's hers, honey.
Where's that from?
Show Ashley.
From Julie. Look. And that's your baby. The eyes open. Oh, she's so pretty. Let's see. She's so pretty.
Who's that from, Freddie?
From Julie. So I am so pretty. They're all going from 63 to 69.
Ina, Uncle Sean.
Dishes.
Show them to Ashley. They're hers, sweetie.
You can feed her dolls.
Did she like the doll?
She liked.
Yeah.
Jason has.
You take over this job. Grandma and Grandpa DeGrady.
have pancakes.
Oh.
Hold that up,
Not any clothes.
That's from Grandpa.
Hand it to Ashley.
Oh.
From Grandpa who?
My dad just got back from Minnesota.
Oh.
Brought us a t-shirt.
And
Oh.
Oh, Dad.
From Grandma and Grandpa.
That's Jimberly.
Oh.
More outfit. Yeah.
Oh, cute. She's just throwing everything away.
He was going back to after. No, I never saw it.
Oh, there. See, she wants to help. Oh, oh, she's strong. Good job.
Take it and say, look.
She's getting into this now. She's opening up her present. There.
Oh, a dress.
Yeah.
Oh, Brady, Terry.
That's
Where are they? Oh, cute, Terry.
I think she'd look cute in that little hat.
Vegetables.
It's her dress. Look at her hold her dress.
She's just going to hold on to it.
Is that all?
That's it. She's got her little dress.
Gosh.
Oh, let's not open that.
The birthday guys. Okay, Ashley. Ashley. Okay. That's the party.
Cut the fruit.
Okay, here's to the birthday one. Smile up here. Brady.
From Grandma and Grandpa Whittingham. She likes it.
She says it's a lot lighter than the other one. But if you get a doll in it.
There she is. Happy first birthday.
Ashley.
Uh-oh.
That was not as sturdy as one. Birthday toy.
Outside.
I'll never need to cut her toenails. Wrap them off. I'm too hot. Look.
Oh, so condominium, if you can not focusing on me. We're gonna go inside. This is probably the last full night of our condo. This is our first little house that we ever had. And we just decorated the way we wanted it. And this is our front room. This is the way it looked. TV's on. This is where we'd sit on the couch and watch TV. And the room. This is our favorite couch of them all. This we just bought to put in our new house. I'll come over here. There's a picture my brother painted. This is our Spanish corner. So that's the whole scene of our front room. And let's go into this room. Other room. Our couches and our tree. There's our plates up there from Portugal and Spain and Brady's Jadro. There. And the duck pictures my sister made me. And our wicker cabinet Nancy gave us. And my flower arrangement that matches the picture that my brother painted. And then go into the kitchen. We did the wall paper. Brady and I put up that nice little ceiling fan. And that's our kitchen. And the brand new floor, the tile flooring we helped put in. Ryan and Nancy did most of it. That's our kitchen. And then you walk it, that's the hallway. It leads to our bathroom and bedroom. There's the mirror. Let's go down the hallway and into the bathroom. No. Hallway. Look this way. Or this way. Get a different perspective of things. And here we go into our bathroom. And another border we put up. The shelves, Nancy gave us those. There's the mirror. Ugh. The bathroom with the towels that match. The carpet we put in. It's just bathroom carpet. That's our bathroom we like so much. And right next to the bathroom is Brady's study area and the guest room. We were given those bunk beds by Steve Beck's parents. And the bear sleeps on that one, and the bunny sleeps on that one. Oh, the bunny, there he is. And this is Brady's desk. And that's a picture my brother painted of us. Silhouette. And there's the big closet, storage closet. Nothing exciting. And there's the mirror. Whoa! And here's our bedroom. It's a bed. Carrie and Lenita gave us that bed. And we have our TV and our picture there. And then into our bedroom, we have a bathroom. We have a bathroom. I wallpapered and put that little border up. And maybe I should turn the light up. Oh! There you can see much better. And then we have our walk-in closet that we so dearly love. So this is the tour of our first apartment, our first house. Brady and Parents condominium that they let us rent. They were so nice to let us do. We loved it. We got to fix it up the way we liked it. Painted all the doors and everything white. Put wallpapering up, and it was just fun. We're gonna miss it. But wait till you see the house we're moving to. Wow, wow, wow. It's been fun. We love it. See you later, condo. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye now. Stayed in there. It's about 8:39, September 30th. We've been in here about 1 year. That's the door. It's the kitchen. Okay, bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Okay, Halloween.
That's Aladdin cake. Smile at me.
Aladdin.
Trevor, what is that?
For presents.
Trevor.
Wait.
Hey, you. What is that? Jason. Trevor, did you just go trick-or-treating?
Go trick-or-treating.
Go see what those boys have.
There's Ashley. She was trick-or-treating.
Go see what those boys have.
Hi, Ash. Hi.
Go
over there so I can get your picture.
Jason, what were you for Halloween? A pirate.
Selling cars today.
Hey. Ashley? Ashley.
Look what it is.
That's my mommy.
Is that what you wanted? Okay, let's see how we turn him into a fire truck. Where'd she go? Oh.
Right here. Who are you? Oh, Zorro.
It is really Snow White.
Well, Terry's face looks like Snow
I
White.
know. Yeah.
She's scared of Brady. Look at her. She's scared of her.
He's just teasing you.
Daddy would have to help.
He's just teasing you. Come here. No. Come here. See Terry. She'll save you. Come here. Terry. I saved you. Ready? Smile. Ashley. She was on to look at you. Oh. This is Brady's gonna get
Brady's still on.
Chevy, what are you? Oh.
I almost got those play school puzzles. Those very two.
You're on the video.
They were chocolate.
What'd you get for your birthday?
Toy.
Is it just what you wanted?
Yeah.
Oh, what kind of toy?
Turtle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're lucky.
Jason, there's nothing there, but there's some puzzles for you.
Those good.
Look at your puzzles over there.
I like those turkeys. They're called
Thanks.
Dorito Thins.
What'd you get?
Salsa and
Oh, it's a cake. Yeah, that's right. Julie, who are you going out with tonight?
There's like 15 people. Darla, the gang.
Where are you going? Guess who's going out with Corey tonight?
Darla.
Kim Waters.
Did you set him up with her?
Uh-huh.
Don't tell Darla that. She won't. She looked like Reddy setting him up with anyone.
There's my wife. She cute. She cute. What? She cute. Good night.
Okay, that's cute.
Happy birthday, Uncle Jack.
Okay, what do we start singing?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jason. Ashley.
Happy birthday to
Ashley.
Okay, Trevor and Jason, come and blow
Blow
your
your
candles
side
out.
out. This is Charlie. That's Jason.
Good boy. Did you not get one out?
Yeah, she's wondering about it all.
Oh, the three?
Yeah.
Let Jason blow it out.
Oh, good job.
Let's eat that. Should we eat it? Let's go eat that pumpkin
This
cake.
is mine.
Just
Just
mine?
yours?
Bye-bye.
Let's eat it.
Go get it, Trevor. Go get it. What a good pirate you are.
Trevor, come here, bud.
You want to go trick-or-treating?
Hi, Mommy.
Smile.
Huh?
Smile.
Let me get back here a little. Okay, one more time, guys.
There's their birthday cake.
Good
Trevor needs to be on. Okay, one more time, guys. Smile. For your
Jason, say cheese.
party picture. Look at Mommy, Jace.
Say hi, Mommy, Ian.
Cheese.
Hi, Mommy. Cheese.
Okay.
Oh, you get
Hey,
that?
cute boy.
Cut it.
Tell me about trick-or-treating.
Okay. Julie, did you go to Joanne's house? And hey,
Was
is this
it
your
fun?
trick-or-treat candy?
It was so much fun.
Wow, you got lots of candy.
What else?
Huh?
Did you go, what did you do for lunch today? Did you go for pizza?
Julie, want a piece of cake? No thanks.
To Chuck E. Cheese's?
Yeah.
Was it fun?
It's yogurt.
Cake. There's yogurt.
Yeah.
Jason, how old are you today? How many?
3 years old.
Oh, you are so smart.
What
Today?
Oh, really?
3.
You're 3 years old. Wow. He's gonna show Grandpa.
Trevor and Jason. Look, here's your birthday cake. Your basket's over here.
Ashley trying to find something to do.
Look what Mommy's got.
Where are you going, Julie?
Come on.
What party?
Here you go.
That's kind of dangerous, you know.
Hi.
No. Just walking around.
I don't know, my dad heard, right?
Yeah, it is.
Hi. Say hi. What you doing? What you doing?
Guys.
Party, and these are our first guests. Oh, scary.
I come to talk your blood.
Oh, please, no, no, please. Okay, show us who you really are now.
Turn into a bat, Dan.
It's Dan and Heather.
I'm a
Oh, you guys are so cute. Okay, scary. Here's our Halloween party. Count Dracula is eating our food, and Pumpkinhead is going to go eat. And I decorated.
Very cutely decorated. There's bubbly root beer over here. Maybe you should take a picture of it.
Look at the witch's brew.
Snow White did it. The witch's brew. Pumpkin. Record. Oh, it's not in focus. What do I do? It's not in focus. What?
It's because the eye thing.
Room. And our new couch. Brady picked down all by himself.
You guys see that car, that house across the street?
Here's our party room. And there's our kitchen. Not a refrigerator yet. Zorro.
How was the party tonight?
Are you dancing? Woohoo! We're having a dance. Everybody get down. They love this music.
Get off my.
There's Greg and Jen. They're paradise and they like to roll.
That's right.
Rollin', rollin'.
And there's Andy. Put your mask back on. It's Elf. It's Elf.
I'm just gonna stand right here. You stood right here.
Oh, excellent pictures. Hey, you, Craig. Look at me, man. ¿Cómo estás?
That's clever, Jen.
Oh, thanks. You should see Greg.
Look at you guys. Yeah.
That's great. Been working in the fields too long.
Hola.
Brady, don't beat him up, okay?
Don't what?
Don't beat him up.
Me puto.
I know what that means.
I saw a guy driving around the
Craig, you've got some good miles down that hair.
It's
Funny.
There's the Aimster.
Oh, where's Craig? Take this.
Like now, today.
You guys, all these costumes.
Was Flojo difference? Yeah. See?
Now, Andy, what are you?
I saw it.
He's out.
He's Elf.
Ow! Oh my God!
He's all
Where did you get that
Fonzo.
costume?
I heard they're gonna, the Ronies
That
have
is
like up there at church and stuff, and then they're talking about moving here.
That's good.
Uh-huh. It is good. Mega ho.
Was she making a hoe?
She's an old lady. I like laughed at.
When you heard her name.
You guys deep around at your hotel?
Was Julie there?
People like them. Yeah, for about 10 minutes.
Did she have her costume on yet?
Here I am, Snow White, and I'm tape recording myself. Hi ho, hi ho. I'm nervous.
that's our house. Brady's just getting home from work. There's our mailbox. I'm in the middle of the street, so hopefully oh, that's our neighbor. There you go, that's a little bit more focused. Today is December 7th. There's our front room. There's our house with our Christmas tree lights. I'll show you it more in the daytime. But here is our mailbox. It says, if you look closely, it still says Bob and Joanne on it. So, anyways, let's go inside and see what it looks like. That's Penny's car. Penny lives with us. That dog doesn't like us. That's the proud owner. Hi, Brady.
Hi.
You like your house?
It's expensive.
There you go. Who's behind me? Oh, they're barking at the dogs. Okay, let's go inside. There's our garage. See the door to the garage. I know it's nighttime, so it's not very clear. But anyways, let's go up the sidewalk. And we'll take you through a tour of the house. Let's go in. There's our couch we bought at Sears. And there's some Christmas decorations. I need to. There's the spray I made.
Why does it smell like that?
I don't know, honey.
That's bad.
I know.
Did you
There's
notice
Brady, yeah. There's my Christmas thing, another Christmas tree there. There's our dining room table, that's all we have right now. Here's another big room, into a big atrium room, kinda. With windows, we put plastic over that one window. There's our couch that was in the condo. And then we have a fireplace. It's kind of set up like that, a little corner with our TV. It's kind of, you know, the woodsy kind of look. Notice I have poinsettias in my planters for Christmas. And then you're looking back into the front room. That way. That door goes out to the garage. Quite proud of those. And you're looking into the kitchen. Hi, Brady.
I'm gonna have
enchiladas. This is our, see, those are the cups Dad got me. And there's our yadro from Spain, some plates from Spain, some things from the Middle East. And coming to our kitchen. I've got to hurry because this tape is ending. It's our kitchen, our refrigerator that we had to buy. It didn't come with the house. Oh, there's David's painting. Oh, David's other painting. Hold on, I'll show you where it's at. Our Spanish room. And this room. Because it matches. We're going to go upstairs. Oh, see, that's the front door. Okay, so we're going to go upstairs. This is the upstairs. To a bathroom. Notice those, Cindy? Those are my ducks. This is our little bathroom. I know it's got blue. It's kind of corny, but we like it. Full bathroom. There's a skylight going up to the ceiling. And there's a mirror. Okay, there's a full linen closet here. It's our linen closet. And then down this hallway, this is Brady's study. There's a picture of me. That's his computer. The lights, pile of books. This room's kind of empty. Full closet. That's where Brady works. We come into this room. Oh, and this is our guest room. And it has 2 beds and Christmas lights and a full closet in there. Then we come through here and this is our room. Our bed's not made, but this is our bed, our lamp, our nice, we love this. That's our bed. And right out here, I'll show you in a minute, our TV. Hi. And then, oh, in here is our bathroom. off of our master bedroom. That's our shower. Oh, that's upside down. Sorry, you can tell I haven't cleaned my house lately. There's our bathroom. Another howdy doody window. And look at this, I have a bay window in my bathroom. That was one of the selling points. There's our sink. Okay. Now, let's see what's out on my deck. Maybe I'll show you that tomorrow. Let's see if we can see out here. I don't think you can see out there. I don't know, right before we leave. But anyways, there we go. Our messy bedroom. This is our walk-in closet. I'm going to go ahead and show you what's inside there. I've got just a flip of white. There we go. That's Brady's tie rack that he's very fond of. And that's Brady's. Okay. Let's leave our stairs after we turn off the light. And here we are going back downstairs. And we'll go down to the other layer. This room is empty except for my Christmas box and my clothes drying. And there's a fireplace, and this is a pretty big room. Then you go through this area, and there's an outside door to the backyard, which I'll show you tomorrow. That room right there is Penny's room, but I don't have permission to open the door. This is our clothes room. Right here, laundry room, cupboard. Oops. There we go. You can see. And in here is just Penny's bathroom. It's a small little bathroom. I can't see much of it, but anyways. Okay, now after this level, we go out here. We go down here. There we go. That lights things up. That light's not working for some reason. And this is called the bar. We'll have a whole setup of a bar. Yeah, we're going to be putting football pictures up, as you can see. There's Big Fred and Freddie's jersey and Big Fred there. That's my little honey Brady. Some footballs. I'll go around here. Oh, focus, focus. There's a sink and whole place and refrigerator right there behind the bar. Then we come in through this door, and this is our storage. Pretty big storage. You see here, there's our water heater, our huge Mongo furnace that costs an arm and leg. And then you come through here, and there's big storage. This is all my storage stuff, my teaching stuff. It'll be good for food storage and stuff. You see, boxes. It's all of our storage. And then this is our house. I'll turn this light off and go into this room. Turn this light off. We'll go up the stairs. And that's the tour. The grandiose tour of the house we now live in. This is the second house we've lived in. And I'll take you in the backyard tomorrow because you'll be able to see much better tomorrow. Okay, see you tomorrow. Like in the daytime. You can see, let's go outside and I'll show you the backyard through the glass door. So you see there, this is our backyard. There's a little donkey. I planted tulips in there, so next year it'll be tulips. You can see around here inside the house. I just come around the side. That was already there, those horns. And that goes out to the front. This is a big shed right here for storage. And there's that room we were just in. There's the donkey and a bird bath, and they had it all landscaped. There you go. And if you look down, there's our patio, our barbecue. Oops. And this is the back. That goes down to Penny's room that I showed you, and there's the washroom. And then this goes up to our bedroom. Bathroom. And there's our jacuzzi. Right there. Up on a deck, and see, that's our bedroom. Windows. This is our deck over here. Show you the view. See the mountains that we have. And this is over the other side of the deck. I planted tulips in our planters there. And that's the street. If you look out there, you see the lake. And then this is just that's our bedroom right there, that bedroom window. Now, to the lower level. This is just what I showed you from up above. And this is the bottom part of it. That right there is where the jacuzzi is held. And that's the deck. Okay, this is our backyard. Let me take you into the front yard. That's the gate on the side of the yard, and there's our garage. And that's the way our yard looks. There's our mailbox. That's the whole thing right there. It's right on the corner of Foothill, and that's Paiute Drive, and this is Foothill Drive. Can you guess why? It's at the bottom of the hill. That's focus. That's down the street. This is our neighborhood. And that is our house. Pretty big, huh? Don't know what we're doing. Love it. Coming up this way. Let's go around the side. The front, and this is the side view. And there's the deck, and you see our bedroom window up there. Right there. So, that is our house, nestled in the foothills. See ya. Our first Christmas tree that Brady's cutting down. Hi, Brady.
Hi. Oh.
He's doing such a good job. There's the tree. Timber! Are you almost through?
Almost. Fall on me probably though.
Don't you know how to cut it the right way? Where's that Ty Ely? Ty, get in the film. Ty had to have us cut the tree tonight. Push it. Be careful, Ty, so it doesn't fall on you. Timber. Not yet.
Gosh. Here, kind of push it.
Yeah.
There.
Oh, timber. Ooh. It's dead. We came to a Christmas tree farm at, it's only 5:30 or 6 o'clock at night. 6 o'clock. And we found a Christmas tree that we liked in the dark. Good job, Brady.
Yeah.
We're through.
We got her.
Excellent. Cindy came with. There's our tree. There's our tree.
Drag it away, baby.
Bye, Paul Bunyan.
Ready to trim the tree, Ty?
Hurry, Ty. There he is. There he is. We found a tree, Ty. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Blow off.
On the roof of our fine tars. Now we're going home. There's our tree.
So you can not have glares.
I know.
When we see a cool turn.
We're going on our way home.
These are the coolest trees. This tree. Right here.
Oh yeah? Look at it. Way up there. There he goes. Seen in about a week or so.
Hello?
Hello?
I could climb this whole tree all the way up. This would be a rock climber's cool thing to do. Ow!
This is...
Let's walk on this trail.
Okay, it's a trail in the middle of the redwoods.
That's all those are.
Yeah. Like a trunk of a redwood right there.
Yep, there's a tree inside this tree. The tree that fell, that's big. So I'm looking at it from the bottom of it. Again. So we can walk and you can see all the ferns. Look at all the ferns. This is a rainforest. Tree. Hi.
Hi.
Fell, and they cut it across so you could walk by the trail, but then that one grew out of it. They're very fertile. Called the tree that never dies. There's one tree out here somewhere that fell, and there are 7 or 8 big huge ones already growing out of it. Merry Christmas, Carrie. Have a merry, merry, merry Christmas. Get up, Carrie. Came.
Here, let's comb your hair so we don't look like crazy in here.
Hi. Hi, Jade.
Tell Daddy to get dressed. Come in here for
Yeah.
Get
Oh, Santa. Everyone, are you smiling?
Yeah.
Okay, smile. Good smile. Good smile, boy. Hey, wait. Oh, you have to wait.
Hey, I saw those stockings.
Let's see what Santa Claus brought.
Okay, ready? Okay, wait. Let Brady get you.
Okay. What did Santa bring?
A racetrack.
And?
Racetrack. And slime.
We'll play with it. Come and play.
This is Trevor's stuff, and this is JC's over here. This is all of JC's stuff right there.
What is that?
Slimy.
What's that, Jace?
A dinosaur.
Dinosaur, it holds all of your coloring stuff. We have glue and books and stickers.
That's not me, no.
It's not you.
How come we stopped it?
Try it. Go do the handle.
Go try the racetrack.
Because we can't start it.
Yeah, you can start it. Pick up one of these handles and squeeze the trigger.
Whoa! Whoa, Chris!
Wow, look at that fast car.
Whoa!
Pick
What
up
do
your
you
handle.
think of that? Where's Trevor?
What do you think of that track? Look how fast those cars are.
That was my favorite.
Is that your favorite?
Where's hers go?
It goes back.
Oh, watch out. Damn it. Yeah. Go. Hold it there.
What do you guys think of that? Santa brought you a big racetrack.
Okay, you can put it down if you want to go play with the other things.
Sliminator.
Hey. Okay, sit over here by your stuff and let me get a picture, Trev.
What do you want, Trev?
Trevor, look at mommy and smile.
Look at all your stuff. Oh boy.
Slimy, it's stuck. It has vomit in it.
But we only play with that one outside. We don't play with the vomit when we're in mommy's house. Because it will get all over. Look at this big thing.
Put it down right now.
Where's the vomit?
Right there.
That's big mom.
But it was feeling there.
How do we put this together, guys?
Like that.
Did Santa leave instructions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at what Santa left you.
What is?
Sliminators.
Look, Mommy.
Okay, do you know what that is?
I got my bird one. I'm a big guy.
You're a big guy.
Look, Mommy.
Lifesaver book.
Lifesaver book.
Oh boy.
You want me to open yours? Trevor? Yeah, let's open your Sliminator and put it together first. Come here, Chad, Jay. Look at these. You guys didn't even notice this. What Santa left. They're called walkie-talkies. If you push again, you can talk to Trevor. Look. Hello. Hello.
This isn't on anymore.
Huh?
What if you turn his off?
When you talk, you have to push that in.
You get a hold of the button.
Come over here, Jace. Come here, I'll show you how it works.
Not this one.
Come here, Jace.
Side one.
Come here, Jace, and you can talk to him from over here.
Go over there and listen to the button.
Over there.
Hi, Tyler. What are you doing? Okay, there's the button now. Hi, how are you doing today? Hi, Tyler.
New pajamas. Look.
A dress.
Look at those pretty red jammies. They're super warm.
Yes. Should I open another one?
Well, no, not right now. Wait a minute. Let's put this
How about look at your Beauty and the Beast butt?
It's not. This is vomit.
Daddy's putting yours together.
Yeah.
Open it, Trevi.
New Jeremy. It goes like that, Daddy. New Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Hey, Daddy's getting your clothing together.
Why don't you do it as I do it so you can...
Okay.
How does this go?
Hey, where's your stocking, Trevor?
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. Candy. Look, Mommy.
What is it?
I don't know. Should I open it?
Probably bubble gum, I think.
No. I'll show you. I open it.
Here, let me help you.
Hey, what is that stuff? Bubble. I don't know. Open my
Well, it's bubble gum, it looks like. That's what it says.
bubble gum. Oh.
Yep. Bubble gum.
Orange.
He left you an orange and a candy cane.
Here, is this? No. Is this a kind of cane to eat? Oh. But I can't really open it. Hey,
Oh, shoot. I don't know if I should.
bubble gum.
He opened it.
Okay, Jason.
All over.
So,
He already opened it.
Santa brought you a big...
stocking.
That's Mommy's. That's Mommy's. You can see it there.
I don't get it. Hey, leave it there. Leave it there.
Okay, guys, just a minute. We'll start opening some of the presents, okay? What else? Look, Santa left you bubble bath. He left you bubble bath. See your bubble bath. What do you think of that? Here, I'll tape yours up, okay?
Trevi.
Just go pee-pee.
Trevi has to pee-pee.
Here, you sit down and look at it, and I'm going to take Trevor pee-pee. See if we can open more presents.
Because I want to... No. I want to see on the next page. Hey, Mom, go read it to me.
Hey, guys, don't fight or I'm not going to read it to anybody.
Happy.
Don't fight, please.
Jeans. And Pinocchio.
Aladdin.
For Freddie and Stacy, this is from Ashley. To both of you guys. Come here and open this one.
Okay.
Come here, help him, Jason.
I'm going to open this.
No, that's not for you. Come here, help Trevor. This is from Ashley.
Ashley gave us a present. Trevi.
What is it?
I don't know.
Candyland. That's the best game.
Candyland. It's a game called Candyland.
That's the very best game.
Candyland.
Turn it over.
Let's see. How do we play it? Should we open it up and see how we play it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
How do you do that?
Yeah. Don't be sad.
Now, Terry.
Okay. Bye. She said the guy's being an idiot on the other line.
Oh.
JC's smiling.
But see, guys, let's open it up and see how we play this. Can you put it down for a second?
Oh boy.
And we put this down, and we play a game on that.
Is it candy then?
That's what it is.
That's what we play a game with.
That's not candy.
But what's candy?
There's no candy in it. It's just called, the game is called Candy Land.
The game.
Is it candy? That's not candy.
The game is Candyland.
That is candy.
We'll get it out and play with it, huh? Maybe Daddy will teach you how to play it.
I can't open my stuff.
Here, I will. Those are the cards that we play with. These are the little people that you march around the board. See? You start right here, and you take them down. So both of you rip it open.
From Mommy and Daddy to Trevi and JC. What is it?
It's a knife because my son needed a knife.
I got one, sweetie. Daddy had his. Come here.
Oh. Did Daddy have it?
And there's Carrie playing cards.
Oh, look, there's some stuff.
Actually,
Look.
it's like this.
Look at all these guys.
Is there a Booyago or a Santiago?
Santiago.
Ooh, look at that big guy.
He's a genius.
He's a big guy.
You want to look at what he did with Santa? Who's in radar?
Fun.
So that they can keep right together the whole time.
Oh. Oh. Yeah. Wonder.
Who is Caleb Wonder?
Who's in the Caleb Wonder?
Not Caleb Wonder.
You put that right here.
But where's the guy? The hot toddy guy. Where's the hot toddy guy? Oh, there's a.
Oh, wow.
But where's the Woven Plaza? I can't find it. I can't find it. This, and then I go in it. And a book on it too. Put it in the sweater. And walk over to my step.
Stocking. Candy?
What? Is that what you wanted?
What else? Nuts. Those are good nuts. That's good candy.
That was mine too.
Pistachios.
Those pistachios are really good.
Little tiny screwdrivers.
Those are really good.
This is like stuff in. You push that, it opens the thing.
Is Christmas over, guys? No, it's not. There's millions more stuff for you.
Okay, let's look at all these things. These, let's look on that. Oh, let's see what's in here.
Who has it? Coffee?
Looks like it's not. Carpet. Ooh, here's some.
Presents.
Sweet. I do.
Smile then. Good boy. Okay, go ahead. Open. Thanks for the smile.
A dress?
Are you getting another dress, Jace?
What?
What is it?
It's a wish card.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
It's those
It's those shoes.
skates.
with wheels.
I'm gonna take those to California.
You guys have roller skates.
Down the hall.
No, I think not.
That'll be so fun for you.
Let me see, sweetie. I'll take them out for you.
They fit on your shoes.
That will be so fun.
Yeah.
You put your shoes on, and then you put your roller skates.
You don't want me to help you open them up?
I'm opening
Okay.
Before you open them. Okay.
Open.
Open. Thank you for this one. Oh, it's a dress. It is.
It's a Latin dress.
It's Aladdin sweat.
Latin sweat.
Wow.
And a boo.
Did you see on the back?
Uh-oh, it's coming to the end of the tape. That is too short of a tape.
Okay, let Trevor open his.
Let's see what it is.
Might do the same thing. How about we wear those on the airplane tomorrow? Do you want to wear those on the airplane tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's not do mine. No, mine.
We're going to go on the airplane
Come here.
tomorrow.
Come here.
Yeah.
Give me a big hug for Christmas. I want a present from you.
Okay. We
Want a
go
hug?
get one.
No, I want a Christmas hug present. Oh!
Can I go get it?
No, I just wanted to hug.
Look at this.
Trevor's being real careful.
What do you want?
Let's see what's in mine.
Is there anything I need to get? So I should stop this?
Probably not.
Okay, because there's only, I think, I don't know how long the end blinks before it ends.
What else do we got?
Oh, big presents. Smile for the camera. Okay, open.
What is it?
Oh,
Trevor's being real careful.
I be really careful.
That's right. What'd you get?
Remember, did you see that at Shop when you liked it?
Yeah.
Let's open it up.
Magnadoodle. How fun.
This is for on the airplane to entertain.
Yeah.
How fun. Who's that for?
Someday.
Are you going to help them?
Yeah.
Boy, okay, pull the box out. Pull. Good.
Now I open it.
Okay, now you help me open it. A pretty shirt.
For you.
From you?
From you.
Who's it from?
From you.
Thank you. Is it from Santa or from you?
I'm from Santa.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Trevor. Trevor, this is your present to give to Daddy.
Trevi, to Daddy from Trevi.
Go hand that to Daddy and tell him Merry Christmas.
Try open it.
Oh, thank you. You want to help me open it?
Here, you can open.
Can you help me?
That one?
It's
Can
for
you
both
help
of
me?
you guys. Wait till Daddy opens this first.
Oh. And it's another shirt.
That's a good shirt.
look, this is to both of you guys.
Yeah, mine.
You see my two.
Do you like that, Carrie?
Not sure.
Huh?
I'm not sure.
I mean, I like it. I just don't know if it looks
That's a good shirt.
Brady?
Yeah, I do. What is it? It's chicken.
Wait. Don't you start with that. Oh, wow. Look.
It's magic.
Just a second. Just a minute. What's this little thing?
It's a ring.
Watch out, Brody. Is this for like... Is that just for little...
Oh. Perfume.
And a little mirror and this.
I found something, you mommy.
I love this. I don't like that. So you got the rest of the stuff free, Carrie, when you bought this thing?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Mommy's next.
I'll try it in a minute. That's Mommy's perfume. Tell Daddy, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Why? Thank you.
Trevor from Mommy and Daddy. Good. Trevor needs to smile. Okay. You guys got something from your mom and dad now. The dress.
Pretty shirts.
New shirts? There's two of them. Look, there's one. There's another one. You like those? Chevy has the same shirt. New shirt. Well, I don't know that we have any more for you.
Okay.
I really want to open. Okay, oh, do you like those shirts, Trev?
It's so small.
Use her phone number.
What are those?
Who were those from?
Look.
Daddy.
I know what these are.
What are those, CDs?
I thought we already ate some of these.
Look, Mommy.
We sing songs. What did Daddy get from Mommy?
Massager.
Ooh.
I think
Excellent.
this is for Nene.
Who's that from?
From Nene.
From Nene to Nene? Oh my goodness.
Oh
You can do a
boy.
genie puzzle. Do you like that, Carrie? I'll use it on there.
I open this one.
Okay, pull. Pull. Oh, my Monopoly game.
Yeah.
Monopoly! Woo-hoo, woo-hoo, woo-hoo.
I open it.
Cheese log.
Cheese and sausage. Let's open it.
Sticklers. Beef salami. No,
Okay, now let me tell you what this is. Let's see.
Let's take it to California and salami up on the plane.
Fun songs we can
Smoky,
sing
spicy,
on our
sharky,
radio.
swifty.
And this one is some other fun songs with
Beef
Corvette, and
sausage.
these guys are singing them.
They're all beef.
And what's this?
Is Carrie's big present. Genesis. And that little wrapped up one is John Madden football. Ooh. And we'll go videotape Carrie's other Christmas present. There's his other Christmas present.
Here's it. The frog singing.
Right there. He's got his speakers and his stereo. Santa Claus bring you.
Go show her slide.
Show me what Santa brought you.
On the slide.
Dance, maybe.
Hey, who's up? Stacy?
Are you guys hungry? No.
I'd like one. Look at that cute smile.
Ashley, go down the slide. Go down the slide.
Whose is this? Whose is this right here? Look at Ashley's mess. Did she just go crazy in here?
We all did.
I know, I was gonna say, it looks like everybody had fun. Thanks for the presents. Perfect.
Those are.
We're all excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to bring the game down and play it. Yeah.
Play with your slide, Ash. Come here. Come here. Oh, you're stuck on your clothes.
Is that the right set you wanted?
Yeah.
Is that what you usually play with? Let's go down.
Yeah, that Tripoli.
The kind, we usually use the felt board or that big.
Oh, it's like a plastic.
Well, we've only used a plastic board, and I don't like the plastic board.
That's cool.
The one that they have is like a, it's like a twister game, you know, that kind of plastic.
Oh, ready?
And it doesn't have cups.
And it doesn't have cups. I like the cups. Because I always have to be stacking them on that other thing. Now I can just throw them in.
Go up. All your chips.
All my chips.
There's some.
Go down the slide.
Cups.
Okay.
Go upstairs, Ashley. Go.
She's got a jungle gym just like the boys have.
What'd they get for Christmas?
Oh, they got so much stuff.
Really?
Yeah. They got, I have it all in this tape. They got an Aladdin game, or Aladdin kind of action figure set. They got the Sliminators. They got a big one of those racetracks, the Tyco racetrack.
Good idea.
That's all set up.
Carrie and Lanita get it all for him, or was it from?
Carrie and Lanita got almost all of it for them.
Come down.
Jack Stacy's sweatsuit?
Oh, new sweatsuit. Excellent. Yeah.
My new shirt.
And Fred's new shirt. Beauty.
I got a toolbox.
I saw that toolbox.
Was it in that one thing? Remember when you knocked on it?
Yeah.
That's what I thought it was. For some reason, he knocked on it because I knew you'd been talking about it. And he knocked on it and goes, I wonder what this is. This is for me.
I have no idea what
And I said, oh, I think I know what it is.
Ashley's so cute. That's the slide.
That's the stairs.
Between Christmas
Plus a car, right?
Ashley.
they have Christmas bonuses, they have personal bonuses, and they have company bonuses.
Ashley.
And altogether, you'll make at least $5,000.
Is that good?
Yeah, chew it up.
Plus a car, plus dollar for dollar in the
She's on
401k,
camera.
plus 100% of your medical.
Do you want to help? Okay, hold on. Dance for me. Dance. Bye-bye. See you later. Yes. Okay, bye-bye.
Unless they have a record. Ashley, where's some music? Computer dancer.
What's she doing?
Come here! Come here! Betty?
There was a farmer and a dog and Bingo was his name. Bingo was his name. There was a farmer and a dog and Bingo was his name.
Wait, Ashley. Ashley.
Bingo and Bingo was his name. There was a farmer and a dog and Bingo was his name.
Bring your hips, Ash. There she goes.
That was a new one.
Yay!
Good!
Good!
More?
Okay, more. Oh, swing your hip.
Swing your
back.
hips.
There she goes. Ashley.
Dance.
Does anybody want an egg?
Look at her.
We're forward and back. Turn around.
look at it. Yay! Yay!
No. More?
Ashley.
Do your feet. Yay!
More?
Dancing.
Ashley. You working? Hello? Hello? Here we go, dude. Ashley. Dance.
Ashley? Ashley? Ashley, what does a bear say? See if she'll say that.
What does a bear say?
Ashley, what does a bear say? What does a bear say, Ash? What does a bear say?
Come here.
Okay. Ashley! Ashley!
He said it was real nice. He was excited. Hilton,
Ashley? What does a bear say? What does a bear say? Huh? What does a bear say?
Are they both?
Yeah. What?
They're right next to each other.
Can you say Terry? Mommy? No, Terry. Can you say Terry?
I'm trying to go down on Christmas.
Can you say Terry? Uh-oh. Say hi.
The whole week down, probably the best day though.
Say hi. Hi.
She got all the gooks that don't have Christmas.
Say hi, hi.
Do they have Christmas?
Actually,
Do they have something?
Christmas. And that's our second tree. That's all the tree we had. And those are our presents. There are our stockings.
I don't think they have anything yet, so as long as they live there.
And
I don't think you can be in the same zone.
we just had our Christmas dinner. Hi, Lily.
Hi.
Merry Christmas. Gifts today, or we made gifts for Christmas, and this is what Brady made me. He made me that shoe rack. And I love it. Look at all my shoes. He made it all by himself. He's so good. I'm so happy. Thanks, Santa. I love it. I love it. Look at the different sizes. That one's for boots. We're happy. A present.
Oh, I gotta go to, I gotta.
She's got shampoos. Things that she needs.
Oh, all the stuff you can't afford to buy. Tampons? Oh, they're expensive. Remember, when Freddie got angry about tampons. Reese's peanut butter cup while he's out right now.
That's your dessert for today.
Oh, that. I kind of need a spoon like this, I guess. Vitamin C, calcium.
Julie, you scored.
I know, this is everything I asked for.
Not everything. I tried though.
All the stuff I can't buy. She's poor.
That stuff smells
You
good.
don't want it to get used to it. Excellent.
Lily,
Thank you.
you're welcome. I know it's not too exciting, but hey.
Yeah, it is.
Here's Brady and the present that I made him. This is from Santa Claus. Let's see if he likes it.
Oh, you made this, Mary? This big baby?
Yeah.
Oh. Pretty. Well, is that for your bed?
You made this?
Yeah.
Is that for your bedroom?
No, it's just to wrap up in. Not big enough.
Oh, pretty colors.
You don't know how to do this.
I do. I made it.
How long did that take you?
Not very long. Janet Anderson helped me. That's where I was.
You kept going over to Janet's house?
Yeah. It took us 2 hours to tie
Did
it.
she have the frames?
Uh-huh. Took us 2
That's
hours to
awesome.
tie it. And then I was over at Lanita's sewing the edges tonight.
That's awesome.
Cute. Very
You like the
stylish.
colors?
Yeah. Those match our couch.
Very, very stylish.
It's to keep you warm because we can't afford heat in our house.
You know what Danny's present is?
I think-
Person.
I do.
Keep you warm.
Did you try those shoes?
Your stockings, let Brady get your...
He got some of the. He's got some of that for her desk.
Wet work,
Popcorn for her work.
some juice, some salsa,
She got
some
salsa.
masks, so we can have masks on each other.
We're gonna put masks on.
Some trail mix. This is my stocking, my very first stocking from my husband. He wants to see these on me.
Seen everything he got in his stocking. Now, he's opening up a present. We're having Christmas.
Nordstrom,
Oh, it's not from Nordstrom though.
Cambridge Classics. A shirt for me.
Do you like it?
Uh-huh.
It's kind of dressy, but yet casual.
Yeah, we'll go to some
Blue or
light tan
khaki?
pants or some blue pants too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carrie has one just like it.
Me and Carrie have the same shirt.
That. And my husband picked that out. Next one.
I got her that many.
Wow, you like these. This is a nice one, honey.
That was the expensive one.
I can tell carrying pain is a nice one. It goes right here. I
Yeah.
like this, huh?
That one was an expensive one, but you'll see why, because you'll like it.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
A telephone.
I don't think so.
It's nothing.
Maybe not. I tricked you.
My headphones.
You like those kind?
Yep. So that I can run or ride the bike or do the Stairmaster or
Yep.
just walk around.
Cool, dude.
This is what I ride my bike with on.
Okay.
Honey.
I can't get it to focus.
Wow, I like this. And both of them will go with it.
In the store, and they were saying, I don't know. It's a size 10 though. Is that your size?
That will fit. Yeah, that will be good.
And they were saying, I don't know. That'll be hard to match. And I said, yeah, right. I think I found something else to match with it.
Oh my heck, honey. You just shop for me. Shoot. Oh, this is cute. I like this, honey. It's nice and long.
Is it too long?
No, I love them long like that. I can wear boots with it. Clothes.
It's kind of like Groundhog Day.
Honey, where did you find all these good clothes?
Take that shirt off and try it on. Oh no, we'll try them all on later. You like that or hate it?
Yes, no, I love it.
I went out on a limb. I thought you would.
That would be cute with jeans on.
See, nobody could see it. Nobody liked it.
Blue one. Good.
You don't have a blue one, do you?
Nope. I love these, honey. And will the blue one go with this jacket?
Yeah. No.
You've got all kinds of color ones.
I like that skirt, so I thought I'd get you all the colors.
honey. Oh, wow. He got me 4 skirts. Oh, my heck.
Called the tree that never dies. There's one tree out here somewhere that fell, and there are 7 or 8 big huge ones already growing out of it.
He rock.
Rock hard. Yes.
Rock.
Rock. Hi guys.
Jason's very scary.
Here, let me see these guys. Hi guys. Wow, they're scary. Where are we going? Are we going to Disneyland, Trevor?
Yeah. Oh, that big engine.
Yeah. What? Jeez. Jeez. Oh, don't do that, JC. Where is he?
Cater Air, gate number C7, Cater Air.
Pay attention to his monster then. Jace, do Terry the monster. Do it at Terry.
Ooh, scary monster. There's Missy. It's Christmas Eve. Ready to go. Where are we going?
I don't know.
Are we going to Disneyland tomorrow?
Today.
I think we're going tomorrow.
We're going on our trip today. I'm going to Disneyland tomorrow.
Yeah, uh-oh, fight, fight. There's a fight.
Oh, hey, don't catch her. Trevor, don't.
Hey, guys. Hey.
I'm a big
Yeah. Mean monster. Hey, you.
Trevor, come here.
And you can keep this ticket for 35 bucks.
Ollie, say cheese.
I don't like. I don't like high air truck. Do you see that?
Cheese.
Got. Go. Got. Alex, go. Truck.
We just got to LA, and they're looking at the puppies. What is it, Alex? What is it? I know. There they are. Alex.
I'm so excited about that. She keeps going,
Share, Ashley. It's okay, he can see. Cheese.
Hi, Toto.
It's the puppies you're looking at. Stay at the beach. Hi, Miss. What's today? It's Christmas at the beach.
Oh, shit.
No way, Missy.
Let's go swimming.
And they play out.
Beach. What's the head?
I wouldn't water ski probably. I'd probably jet ski though. Yeah.
Using jaws have
Fred, one race?
You probably can't see it on camera.
Alex, say cheese. Say cheese.
Ashley, what do you think?
They're the bravest ones here. There they are.
Where are the little boys? They're waiting to get you. Come here. Come here. Come here. Okay, you need to go slowly. Okay, say cheese. Say cheese. Say cheese. Run, Richie, come on. Say cheese.
Ashley likes to swim, man.
I'm not scared of the water. I'm just scared of it. You get my friend.
Let's go in the water. Go dive in there. Show them how everyone how brave you are. You're the toughest girl here. Just dive in.
Yeah, I like
Go
to
to the front and just dive into a wave. Watch Mickey. She'll dive right into this wave. Dive into it. She's the toughest one here. Glamour. Oh no, it's not high enough.
She's our brave little girl.
Run out into that wave, Missy. Go bash into it. Go bash the wave. No, he doesn't. Oh.
Ashley!
Right. Look at that out for a little swim. Oh, this is a much better idea than Disneyland today. Yeah. Okay, if I'm gonna have to do it, you did that.
Hi, Ash! Look at Mommy,
You
Ash.
gonna do it?
Terry and Lenny, them the boys. Walking in the pool.
Has it killed the sandcastle yet?
Yes, it has. Go out there, Missy. There's a big one. Hit that one. Dive under it.
There's me to dive into.
Hi, sorry, Missy. No.
That wasn't big enough. You have enough curl? Not enough curl. Not enough curl.
Woo!
Good, Tyler, good. Is it cold?
Not really.
Do it again, you get warmer.
Just back.
Look at the load in their drawers. Pretty tough, yeah. Take their clothes off.
Wow!
I got some water.
The plunge.
Feels great. Full shirt.
There's the boy. There's the boy.
Yeah, let me fix your underwear.
He sticks his toe in.
He doesn't want anything to do with it. As soon as you have to run, Carrie, I'm going to take mine off.
You're okay.
And Grandma Nancy's asleep out there. Hi, Dad. Deva.
Jason's gonna help you. Hold his hand. Nice job, guys.
Well, Brady has to do it now that everybody else. Maybe not. He did not do it.
They go in?
Yeah.
Right there, exactly. Go. She's done a flip over. Right there, flip. Do a flip over a weight. Give me a spin in. Okay, buddy, go. That didn't turn out to be a big one. Here we go. Oh, that's
What was that?
yeah, gone. I just feel it. Here, I'll take you out, Dave. Let's go get service.
I don't know. There's a grandpa.
So fun. We have a diapers across. Are you okay, Jake? You okay?
There's Alex. And Bday. Oh, I can't see.
Okay, I'll see with my nub.
Don't stand like that. Fast running away.
Go stand there, please.
Ready.
In my pocket, in my leather
Hey, let's have Alex and
Getting some good footage, honey?
we have Alex and her together.
I'll be back. I'll be back. Alex just can't do the 10 faces.
Would you in it?
Thinks he's warming up?
Over here.
Let's hope it's not getting like thunder. It's good, huh? Her cheeks.
Oh yeah.
She got some big cheeks.
Okay. And Ashley be fun to see.
Here's some sand.
Where's Tiger? You're all together right here.
Pretty, huh?
Kevin, stand by these kids. I want you to go.
Oh,
She's trying to get us.
Ashley!
Okay, fine.
Smile, where's the camera? Stand by Missy.
Cheese.
Cheese! Cheese!
Allie cheese.
Alex!
Ashley's hand, Alex. Hold Ashley's hand.
There are little showers around.
Oh, she just went pee.
He's brave!
He's like a boy.
Ashley?
Yeah, when shooting
Oh, he's
out,
so
like,
brave! Oh, he's so brave!
That's not enough? No, that's not enough. Enough?
There's Ashley!
Jesus, boys.
Ashley.
Ty, stay out of the water if you've got someone's towel. Okay, that you need to do that. Oh boy.
Let's see, Melissa 6 and Ashley 1.
This is this sand in your bum?
Go rinse off your feet, everything, at least your feet.
Yeah, take your undies off and rinse off your undies.
Yeah.
Camera case. I have my ring in there. Maybe make sure it's still there.
Whoa, there's my camera. It's shower time.
You want to go see if the ferry's running and take them over across and bring them back?
Her clothes are?
The ocean. Look at the color. You see the fish in there? There they are. Look how clear the water is.
Drop the camera. When you eat this, you drop the camera.
Oh, I would die.
Look at the duck.
Where?
Whatever it is, kind of bird.
Can you swirl on that table?
He's doing it, baby.
Yeah, we have mixed emotions about it. It's a great investment. But we loved our house, so anyways, I'll just kind of take you around before we move out. We're moving out in 2 days. This is the summertime of the house. You can tell that we painted it, brightened up things a little bit, put some flowers in the flower boxes. See them right there? And just change the appearance of the house. Let's go back to the street and see. That's our house. We lived in it for about 9 months. Let's go inside, show you some differences that we made inside. Same. Into the kitchen. I think the kitchen basically stayed the same too. Oh, we did get a table. Big Fred and Brady's out in the back taking down a tree that blew down in the windstorm. From the back deck when we painted it. They're taking down that tree. Hi.
Hi.
That guy's waiting for us at the title company.
So you're gonna be there till when?
Till we get there, he said. And we planted flowers. Yes?
We're gonna put the stuff in. Truck.
Okay. Good. I'll change my clothes.
Keys in your truck?
Yeah.
Jacuzzi. We didn't use very much. It was a pain. This is the deck. Planted along the deck there. Pretty, huh? The backyard. That's the deck. There's the fence blew over in the storm. This deck looking from the back. That's the master bedroom. On the deck again, down the bottom. There's my planters. Sunflowers. The table. The TV. Good luck, because we're out of here in 2 days. Bottom level. Nothing too exciting has changed in this room. Or in the other room. That was the dungeon. Those lights in. That's our bathroom. Guest bathroom. There's the bedrooms. This is Brady's office. Guest bedroom. This is Craig Anderson's bedroom. He slept with me when Brady was out of town. He stayed here with me to protect me from the boogeyman. This is our bedroom. Whoa. There we go. We put that mirror up. Our bathroom. Nice blue toilet. Can't see it very well. The lighting's not very good. There we go. Well, that's the house. And we are now no longer proud homeowners. We will be renters. It was fun. It was real fun. And we can say adios. Goodbye. We just absolutely loved the bird feeder. There's tons of little birds that eat off that. Then there was a nest right there. And it had little baby robins in them. The baby robins hatched and they grew up and went away. Lots of plums on that tree. There we go.
The company says the change is only minor, but some residents who live downwind say it could endanger them.
Yesterday we began by discussing a very new area in biology. We began talking about genetic engineering, and in the 1980s I really feel that you should never take any sort of a class in biology, biological sciences of any kind, without talking about genetic engineering. It's such an important area right now, and it will continue to be so in the future. We're just entering into this point in the history of biological science where we're getting to the point now where we can manipulate organisms to suit our needs or our desires. And we talked a little bit yesterday about some of the techniques that are involved. Just very briefly, the technique that's most commonly applied is that we splice genes, we cut genes from one organism and insert them into another organism to suit our purposes. Now the potential is also there to manipulate the genetics of an organism, not necessarily splice code from one to another, but manipulate the code of a single species. In other words, change our own genetic code if that suits our purposes. In some cases that may. We've talked a little bit about, we mentioned that this is a very controversial issue, I believe, yesterday, and we said that there are great potential for good, but also some things that we ought to be a little bit cautious about. Yesterday we ended by talking about some of the medicinal uses for this new technology. We mentioned humulin, a form of insulin, human insulin, that's being produced in bacteria and now marketed commercially. We also mentioned that we've successfully transplanted the gene for producing human growth hormone into bacteria so that now we can culture bacteria and have them produce growth hormone in fairly large quantities, much less expensive than it used to be to extract it from human cadavers. There are many other human proteins that are being produced using the same method. One of them is called IL-3. The IL stands for interleukin-3. This is a substance that's being used now to, again, it's a protein that we produce in our bodies in minute quantities, but by transplanting it into bacteria we can produce it in much larger quantities. And it beefs up our immune system. And it's showing some real promise in the treatment of AIDS and some forms of cancer as well. And you'll probably hear more about this research in the future. In fact, there are some researchers here in the state that are working with this substance. Another interesting human protein that we've successfully transplanted the gene for, the instructions for, into bacteria is called TPA. And the TPA stands for tissue plasminogen activator. This is a substance that prevents blood clotting and actually dissolves blood clots if they're in place. This has been used, well, for the last couple of years to treat heart attack victims. And the way it works is this: if you have a heart attack, often the cause of it is that you've blocked the flow of blood to the heart itself. If we were to draw a quick sketch of the heart is a large muscle that needs to have a blood supply just as other muscles of the body do, and so it has vessels that actually feed the heart. Sometimes, if you have a blood clot that blocks this vessel that feeds the heart, you cut off the supply of nutrients and oxygen to the heart muscle itself, and you have a heart attack. Now, even if you recover from that heart attack, you may have severely damaged a significant portion of the heart muscle, so that you're not out of the woods just because you recover. What's now being done is that people that suffer a heart attack are treated with this TPA, tissue plasminogen activator. It removes the blood clot and restores the flow of blood very quickly to that heart muscle. And studies have shown that people that are given this treatment, this TPA treatment, soon enough suffer no heart damage to the muscle itself. So they're able to more fully recover from the heart attack. We're going to see more and more of this in the future. Recently, there's been another new breakthrough with TPA production that has the potential to be applied to many, many other different types of human proteins as well. Researchers have successfully transplanted the gene for TPA production into mice. And the mice produce TPA, this human protein, in the milk, in mouse milk. And that conjures up all sorts of images, doesn't it, of biologists milking mice to get TPA. And it probably doesn't have much practical application in a mouse. But imagine if we were to extend this technology now to transplanting the genes for TPA production into cattle or into a milk goat or something along those lines. Now we could produce the substance very, very inexpensively in milk. How much milk does a good cow produce a day? Well, several gallons at any rate, lots and lots of milk. So if it were producing some useful protein in that milk, that would be a very inexpensive means of production. And we'll probably see more of this in the future. Now, some useful bacteria. For a number of years now, there's been a bacterium, an engineered bacterium, that's able to impart a certain degree of frost tolerance to plants. And frankly, I don't know what the mode of action is, but when this bacterium is sprayed on the surface of the plant is able to resist freezing a little bit more than it could without the bacterium. And so this is very important in cases where temperature is right at that critical point where plants may be damaged. And if the bacterium is then sprayed on the plant can tolerate a little bit colder temperatures than it otherwise could. This anti-freezing bacterium, as I said, has been available for some time, but because of concerns about releasing this engineered bacterium into the environment, up until a little while ago, it had never been released before. It had never been tested on fields. Every time that tests were scheduled to take place, usually in California, a lawsuit would be filed, and the court ruled that it couldn't be released. But within the last little while, some of these things have begun to be released now. We also have an oil-eating bacterium. Now, why would you want a bacterium that's able to digest or eat oil? What possible value would that have?
Would help the roads from being slick. Or could you apply it with that?
Well, I don't know if it would have an application there or not, but the place that it's being considered for is for oil slicks. If you have a large tanker that's carrying crude oil, and it gets a hole in it somehow or ruptures the hull and the oil leaks out, if that's out at the open sea, it isn't really much of a problem. However, as that oil slick begins to drift into shore, eventually it's going to come to a beach and mess up the beach with oil and kill all of the living organisms, birds and nesting birds and so forth, and cause just millions and millions of dollars in cleanup costs. So tremendously expensive. However, if this bacterium were available, if an oil slick occurred out at sea, you could then digest the oil and get rid of it before it ever reached land and save these millions of dollars in cleanup costs. So there's real potential there.
How would bacteria work, though? Would the animals have to induce would they have to have the bacteria in them, or?
No. This would be a bacterium that would be spread out over the oil slick itself and then directly dissolve the oil that's there present on the surface of the water. So that hopefully by the time that oil would have drifted into the coastline, where it would have begun to damage the coastal animals and plants, that would be gone. Yeah, that's the idea. As far as I know, that's never been used commercially, but it is available. Now, in addition, we do have the potential to conjure up any sort of gene that we might imagine. In other words, we're not limited strictly to genes that are already present in organisms. We can now manipulate the genetic code to suit our purposes. At this point, we really don't have the sophistication to know exactly how those genes ought to be formed to get a lot of good use out of them, but the machines are available when we do have that information. Right now, there are machines available that can actually assemble a DNA molecule to your specifications. It's as simple, you don't have to have any background in biology really, it's as simple as typing in the code you'd like to appear in the DNA molecule, and the machine will assemble a gene according to your specifications. In other words, you'd type in A, C, G, T or whatever, and the machine would then assemble a DNA molecule with that nucleotide sequence. So that when we do have a little more understanding of how we might produce beneficial proteins, we don't really have to rely on genes that are already present. This has kind of a catchy name, by the way. These man-made genes are referred to as designer genes because we actually design them for a particular purpose. Another potential for good is gene therapy. By gene therapy, we mean now repairing genetic defects rather than treating symptoms. Let's look back at one we just discussed. If we make insulin, human insulin, in a bacterial cell, then we can extract that insulin and we can use it to treat diabetes. But we haven't cured the disease, have we? We haven't really treated the disease itself. We've just cured the symptoms. Gene therapy, the idea behind gene therapy is that we'd actually repair the genetic defect itself so that the individual would no longer have the disease at all. We'd correct the genetic code, in other words. I should mention that for most disorders, this may still be a long ways off. There's still quite a few technical problems associated with it, but we're making great strides. In some areas of some sorts of diseases we're showing real progress in. The most likely diseases that would be controlled with this gene therapy, first of all, would be those that are controlled by a single gene. In other words, we have a single malfunctioning gene. Then the potential is there to go in and correct that single gene and essentially cure the disease. In some cases, it may not be a single gene at all that causes disease. It may be a combination of factors that causes the disease, and so those will be much more difficult to deal with. Some that are especially promising are blood diseases. Now, the reason that blood diseases are so promising is that, well, where are blood cells produced in the body? Do you know? Which cells produce blood cells? It's bone marrow cells. And we also already have the technology of transplanting bone marrow, so that if you could correct bone marrow cells and then transplant them back into the body, all of the descendants of those cells would have the corrected genetic code, and they'd produce correct blood cells. So some human blood diseases then seem likely. Others may be quite a ways off. Some of the problems are these. First of all, how do you correct every cell? Because remember, every single cell of our body carries the entire master code, and for some diseases it may be imperative that you correct every single cell. How do you do that? How do you correct every single cell? Because we're talking about trillions of cells. Well, that's one of the real stumbling blocks. There are some ways that we're looking at. One of them is microinjection. By microinjection, we mean that you actually physically use a small micro syringe and inject corrected code into a nucleus. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do that to the trillions of cells in the body, are we? However, what if we could do that to the zygote? What if we knew ahead of time that our offspring were likely to carry a genetic defect? And so in the zygote, that single cell now, that single fertilized egg, if we could inject corrected code into that zygote, as the cell divided, every single one of its offspring would carry the corrected code, so the individual would no longer have that genetic defect. It would be absolutely cured. The significant thing about this is that not only would the defect be cured in that individual, but what about its offspring?
They wouldn't have it. It wouldn't be.
Yeah, it wouldn't be there either, would it? Because it would be cured in the lineage from that point forward. So the potential is there then for removing that disease entirely from the lineage. We're a long ways off from applying this to humans, but it has been done successfully in animals. In fact, remember yesterday I gave you an example of giant mice, mice that grew to twice the normal size because they contained the human gene for growth hormone production. This was accomplished by microinjection, injecting the gene for human growth hormone production into a mouse zygote and having it then become a part of the chromosome and be active and produce this human protein. This should tell you something then about giant mice. If you have two giant mice and reproduce them, what will our offspring look like?
Giant mice.
They'll be giant mice too, won't they? In fact, as long as you reproduce this strain, they'll always be giant mice. You've permanently changed that genetic code. Now remember our discussion of vitalism and mechanism. This really sounds like mechanism, doesn't it? We fiddle with the genetic code and we fiddle with the outcome. We fiddle with the organism itself and change it permanently. Some of the problems. First of all, this technique is very difficult to apply, so that in order to get one giant mouse, you may have to try this technique dozens and dozens of times unsuccessfully. By unsuccessfully, we mean either the gene won't be incorporated properly into the chromosomes of the mouse and won't be active, or the process itself, microinjection, may kill that zygote. We simply don't tolerate, as a society, that type of manipulation of human zygotes. In order for this to become more useful to us, we're going to have to get a whole lot better at it. People don't tolerate fiddling with human zygotes in hopes that maybe a small percentage of them will survive and be normal. If we get to the point that the overwhelming majority of these sorts of injections are successful, then perhaps this can be applied a little bit more to human beings. Another possibility for carrying coded information or corrected code into human beings is retroviruses. Retroviruses are a type of virus that usually is harmful to human beings. Instead of DNA, they carry RNA, and they inject RNA into the body or into the cell. But if we could breed essentially non-virulent forms of retroviruses, they'd act like little micro syringes that could then carry the corrected code to the various cells of the body. So in other words, we'd use them as a vector, something to carry this correct code throughout the body. Advances in molecular biology have also spilled over into the area of crime. And you may have heard of some recent court cases using these new technologies. One of the things that's being used more and more, especially in rape cases, is identification of the perpetrator by their DNA. And it turns out that since all of our DNA is unique to us, that we can get a fingerprint of that DNA using what's called electrophoresis, a technique for separating out fragments of DNA. And it works something like this. If you take a DNA sample from a person and you cut that DNA sample into fragments using restriction enzymes, as we discussed yesterday, those fragments will be of varying lengths, depending upon where those proper regions come for splicing the DNA. Electrophoresis works in this way. We take those fragments and we put them in a slab of gelatin, insert them in, and then pass an electrical current through the gelatin slab. These DNA pieces will move according to their size. The large ones move much more slowly than small ones do. So small ones may migrate in this electrical field quite a distance, whereas the large ones may move very, very slowly. So when we're done then, we have a pattern of DNA fragment movement. If we compare this in individual A to a fragment from individual B, we may find that this pattern differs somewhat, because their DNA, after all, is somewhat different. And so by comparing then the sequences of DNA molecules, we can positively identify fragments that came from individual A versus those that come from all other individuals. Now this is kind of a crude technique for crime use, but we can actually sequence DNA as well. Figure out exactly what sequence those nucleotides are in and compare the sequences between individuals, and this is extremely accurate. And we'll probably see it used more and more in court cases. Now let's talk about plants for a moment, some of the advances in plants. For a long time, research work in bacteria and people, or not in people but animals, was far ahead of research work in plants. And the reason was that we didn't have a very good vector, something that could carry DNA into a plant cell effectively. In recent years, we've begun to use a type of bacterium to do this. It's called agrobacterium. This agrobacterium is in nature carries coded information in the form of a plasmid. In other words, if this is the bacterial cell, in the plasmid it contains genes that are carried into plant cells and become incorporated into the genes of that plant cell. And usually what this causes is a tumor. A tumor will form in the plant cell, so it's harmful to the plant. However, now we've been able to make forms engineer forms of the bacterium that are not harmful to plants, and then what we can do is insert a gene into the bacterial plasmid that we would like to go into the plant, and we allow the bacterium to carry that gene then into the plant. And this has become very successful. In fact, it's led to me what is one of the most bizarre examples of just how far genetic engineering can go. We've been successful in actually taking genes from animals and inserting them into plants. What you're looking at now on the screen is a couple of pictures of a tobacco plant. These have been widely publicized. This is the same tobacco plant. The top picture has been shot in natural light, and the bottom picture has been shot in the dark. The plant on the bottom is glowing in the dark. And the reason it's glowing in the dark is because the gene for luminescence in fireflies has been successfully transplanted or spliced into this tobacco plant. This plant actually glows just like a firefly would glow in the dark. Absolutely remarkable to think that the genetic code is so similar in various organisms that you could take a gene from an animal and transplant it in a plant and have it actually be active. Just a startling achievement. Now you might ask yourself, well, what in the world would you want a tobacco plant that glows in the dark for? And really there is no practical value as far as a tobacco grower is concerned. The reason it was done in tobacco initially is because tobacco is often kind of the white mouse of the plant world. Researchers use tobacco plants for all sorts of experiments, and so it was natural to use it for this. But the application is quite significant. What it allows people to do is now insert genes insert this gene for luminescence into various regions of the plant chromosome, and that allows us to determine which regions of the chromosome are active and being actively transcribed and which are not. So now all we need to do then is put the plant in the dark and see if it glows. If it glows, we know that we've transplanted the gene into an active region of the chromosome. If it doesn't glow, we know that it's been transplanted into an inactive region. So it's a very, very useful research tool. Something else that's interesting that's being done in plants is called protoplast fusion. Remember when we were talking about plant cells, we said that a plant cell is bound, the living portion of the plant cell is bound by a membrane just like an animal cell is. However, a plant cell, in addition to the cell membrane, contains a cell wall around the outside, a cell wall of cellulose. The living portion, in other words, the membrane and everything inside, is referred to as a protoplast. What's being done now is we can take cells, plant cells, and subject them to chemicals that dissolve away that dead cell wall material, so all we're left with is the protoplast, the living portion of the cell. And then we can actually fuse protoplasts from different plant species together and make one cell where we once had two cells. Some of the results have been kind of startling. For example, we've successfully fused tomato cells with potato cells, so that we now have a plant that's a combination of a tomato and a potato. Something we never would have dreamed of doing a few years back. Now that maybe isn't too surprising, but because tomatoes and potatoes are members of the same family, they are somewhat related. But there is the potential for fusing cells from plants that are not at all related. We've also successfully, for example, fused tobacco cells with bean cells, so that we've now produced a plant that's a combination of tobacco and beans, two plants that really aren't closely related at all. So we may see some real use being made of this technology in the future. That reminds me of a story I need to tell you about a Russian plant geneticist. Back around the turn of the century, and at the moment his name escapes me, but he was working on a project, and this sounds like a good sort of proletariat project. He was breeding crop plants that could be used in these collective farms, and he decided, well, gee, if you could cross a cabbage with a radish, that would be a great advance because they are quite closely related. If you could cross those, then perhaps you could get radishes on the bottom of the plant and you could get cabbages on the top and double the productivity then of your land. Well, he worked on this, and this is a true story, by the way, and he did successfully cross radishes and cabbages. However, it didn't turn out quite as he expected. Turns out that he had the top of the radish and he had the bottom of the cabbage. So it didn't turn out to be a useful plant at all. Now, however, we have the potential of doing these sorts of experiments very rapidly simply by fusing cells together. Let me talk about some of the other possibilities with plants. Some of you may have had a little bit of a rural background. You know that if you grow corn, or other grains for that matter, wheat or barley or oats or whatever, if you grow corn this year, can you just let it come up the next year? Will it do that? You've got to plant it again each year, don't you? And that's because corn is an annual. You have to, in other words, you have to plant it from seed every single year. Did you know that corn is a grass? It's a member of the grass family, and of course the same is true of wheat and rice and barley and oats. Think of some other grasses that are not annuals. How about the grass on your lawn? Do you have to replant your lawn every year? No, that grass is a perennial, isn't it? It comes up every year from the same root stock. Now, what if we could transplant that characteristic of perennialness from some species of grass into our commercial cereal grains, corn and wheat and so forth? What it would mean is that you wouldn't have to replant your field every year. It would come up all by itself, save a tremendous amount of expense in replanting. Also, some plants are able to fix atmospheric nitrogen. In the atmosphere, a tremendous percentage of the atmosphere is nitrogen. It's about 70% nitrogen. However, the nitrogen in the atmosphere is not in a form that's useful to plants. They can't use it directly. In order to use this nitrogen, it first has to be fixed. In other words, converted to a form that can be used by plants and taken up then with the roots from the soil. Most plants lack that ability. However, there are some plants that are able to do that. If you grow corn for a few years, Corn is a plant that requires a tremendous amount of fertilizer and nourishment. And after a while, you deplete those reserves of nitrogen and other materials in the soil. What do you do then in order to replenish them? You have two options. What are they?
Plant another plant there in its place to build up the nitrogen or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. What do we call that? We call that crop rotation, don't we? That's one possibility. You could just go out and fertilize, couldn't you, buy commercial fertilizer. But what's usually done, especially in this area, is you rotate crops. You grow corn for a while. When the soil's depleted, you grow a different crop in its place. What crop is usually rotated in this area? What do we usually grow to replenish the soil? It's usually alfalfa, isn't it? You grow hay on the land. Because alfalfa is a member of the legume family, the bean and pea family. Most members, or many members of this family, have the ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen. Take nitrogen from the atmosphere, convert it to a form that can be used by plants, and so they actually replenish the soil with nitrogen. So you grow alfalfa for a few years, replenish the soil, then you go back to the higher value cash crop. You go back to corn or whatever you've been growing before. Now let me mention something. Legumes themselves can't fix nitrogen any more than any other plant can, but they do allow little microorganisms, little bacteria, to grow on the roots and form little root nodules, and these root nodules do have that ability to fix nitrogen, so the plant does benefit from it. Well, what if you could transplant a gene that allowed this relationship with microorganisms into corn, so that now corn could fix atmospheric nitrogen? What if you could do both of the things we've just mentioned? What if you could make corn perennial, so it would come up every year, and it could fix atmospheric nitrogen so you didn't have to rotate crops? Can you imagine the tremendous increase in production on a piece of land? These sorts of problems are being actively pursued right now, especially nitrogen fixation, in laboratories all over the country and all over the world. And theoretically, there's no reason why it shouldn't be successful, and may well be in the near future. Another possibility with plants. Some of you may be vegetarians, a strict vegetarian. I have a cousin who's a strict vegetarian. And you're probably aware that you have certain essential amino acids that are required in your diet. And if you decide to not eat meat, you can't simply quit eating meat, can you? In other words, you have to be careful that you get all of the essential amino acids. And you can do that on a vegetarian diet. You just have to know what you're doing and eat the right combinations of foods and so forth. However, there are a few plants that are quite close to being complete proteins. Again, members of the legume family primarily, beans and peas and things, lentils. What if we could transplant genes for producing complete proteins, in other words, some animal proteins, into plants? What we'd do is we'd take a large step towards curing the world's hunger problems, because now in some developing countries where meat is an expensive luxury, we could get complete proteins from plant material. It's grown rather inexpensively. And so this is also being actively pursued. Another potential with plants is oil and gas production. Back during the oil embargo in the mid-70s, so most of you, at least here in the studio, are too young to remember this, but when oil became very limited, and we simply didn't have enough to meet our needs, people began to look for alternatives, ways that we might produce fuels without having to rely on crude oil from foreign countries. And one of the things that was actively pursued was growing crop plants that produce high levels of hydrocarbons so that we could extract these materials from the plants and produce fuels. Interest has kind of fallen off as oil has become relatively inexpensive again. But there is a potential down the road for this, because there's no question that the cost of oil will go up sometime in the future. So if we could boost the production of these hydrocarbons in plants, they may yield tremendous quantities of oil and gasoline. And of course, increase crop yields. We're always trying to increase the yield of our crop plants, and we've been very, very successful at doing that simply through crop breeding. But that's a very lengthy process. Trying to bring out improved crop strains. But if we could do it with genetic engineering by transplanting genes, we might be able to increase the speed at which we can do this dramatically. Now, we've looked at kind of the rosy side of genetic engineering to this point. I want to talk for a minute about some of the potential problems. First of all, many are concerned about ecological disruption. In other words, if we engineer a new life form of some type, and allow it to escape into the environment, we may not fully understand the consequences, especially if that is something like a microorganism, a bacterium that might infect other organisms and maybe harm them or kill them. If that bacterium were also antibiotic resistant, for example, we may have released something that we have no way of calling back at all, that may completely devastate ecosystems. Now, we haven't talked about ecosystems in this class yet, but usually we find they're very fragile things. In other words, all of the organisms depend upon one another. And if we take one link out of the chain, sometimes it means that we lose a significant portion of that ecosystem. So this is one concern. As a result of this concern, very, very few engineered organisms have been released to the environment. And we're proceeding very, very cautiously, trying to make sure that there aren't problems down the road. Over the last 10 years or so that we've been doing this sort of work, we're finding, for the most part, that most of our concerns are probably not as great as we once thought. We're finding that most engineered bacteria simply aren't able to survive well in the environment. And often it's because they've been bred for this. They've been bred to only be able to survive in a laboratory setting. So that when they're released in the environment, they simply can't compete with natural organisms. And so maybe some of our concerns have not been well founded. However, we're still proceeding very cautiously, and that's probably a prudent thing to do. Another concern is using the bacterium Escherichia coli, or E. coli. Escherichia coli is a bacterium that exists in all of our bodies, in our intestinal tract, and doesn't cause us any harm at all. It coexists very peacefully there. And some people have raised the question, why in the world is most of our genetic engineering research work with bacteria being done on E. coli cells? Why not use some other bacterium that can't survive in people? The concern is that if you do accidentally engineer perhaps a cancer-causing strain, or something that's resistant to antibiotics that causes some other disorder in people, because it's E. coli and because it lives successfully in people, that perhaps we'd turn it loose into the human population without any ability to control it or recall it. Now, again, some of these concerns have sort of gone by the wayside over the last few years because actually the laboratory strains of E. coli have been cultivated for so long now in a laboratory that they're really fairly distantly related to those that survive in a human body. And we can engineer forms that are not very well adapted for survival outside of a laboratory. And so maybe this isn't as much of a concern as we once thought it was, but it's still good grounds for proceeding cautiously. Some of the controversy. Right now there's a big push on, in fact, we're getting to the point now where we've mapped the entire human genome. There's a term I haven't given you before, but it is kind of an important one. The genome is all of our genetic code. In other words, all of the genetic coded information on all 46 of our chromosomes constitutes the human genome. We've gotten close now to mapping out the position of all the genes on the human genome. There are about 100,000 genes on the human genome. So a tremendous undertaking, knowing exactly where the genes are located on which chromosome. This has some far-reaching benefits. Now, we've taken this a step further. The last little while, we've produced machines now that can sequence DNA so that we can figure out exactly the sequence of the nucleotides in the DNA molecule. And there's a big research project underway. In fact, people are fighting now for funding in Congress, and it's called the Genome Initiative. And this project is to sequence the entire human genome so that we know exactly the nucleotide sequence on every single human chromosome. That's a massive undertaking. Even with machines that work at many times the rate at which we could do this by hand a few years ago, it's estimated that this would probably take about 12 years to accomplish, that it would take about 300 researchers working full-time for those 12 years and take about $300 million to accomplish this. In fact, the genetic code is there are so many millions of nucleotides in the human genome that they say the code would take about 200 phone books the size of the Manhattan phone directory to contain all of this information on our genetic code. Now, this is extremely controversial, and the reason it's controversial is, first of all, there are tremendous amounts of money involved. And some people have suggested that sequencing the genome wouldn't really give us any additional information over mapping the genome, something that's, in comparison, is relatively inexpensive. And so there's a great battle going on now. There's no question, however, that we will sequence the entire human genome. The only question is will we provide the funding to do that very quickly over the next few years, or will it drag out over a much longer period of time? But there's no question it will be done. Now, an additional controversy is that some of the people that are involved in this DNA sequencing intend to copyright that coded information. And some have said, how can you possibly copyright the code that's contained within all of our bodies? And it's a big legal dispute. Do we have a right to copyright this sort of information? I should mention that some genetically engineered organisms have been successfully patented. So we do have patented life forms. That's what we've progressed to in the last few years. Another area of controversy, our ability to manipulate and deal with this genetic code has allowed us to produce genetic probes. And without going into any detail about just exactly what a genetic probe is, this allows us to find out the location of genes on the chromosome so that we can find out where genes that may be harmful are located, so that we can test an individual to find out whether they carry the genetic susceptibility for a particular disease. And this may be very useful in some cases. Let me give you one example where we now have a genetic probe. And this is Huntington's disease. Huntington's disease is a disease that affects people usually in adulthood. It's a dominant disorder, and we haven't really given you that term much yet. And it usually shows up in late 30s to mid 40s, somewhere around there. And a person that's affected with the disease, it's a progressive disease. Your nervous system is affected. You become physically disabled over a period of time. You become mentally disabled over a period of time. You have a lingering, progressive, degenerative disease, a very miserable sort of death. Now, if one of your parents has Huntington's disease, they won't find that out until middle age, until after you're born. So if this is Dad and Mom, and Dad does have Huntington's disease, it's carried by a dominant gene, we'll show that as a big H, and Mom doesn't, so she has two correct copies of the gene, your chances of getting the disease then are 50-50, because at reproduction, Mom will always give a correct copy to you. Dad, though, has a 50-50 chance. He might give you the little h, in which case you'd be absolutely normal, but half the time he'll give the big H. Those that receive the big H will get Huntington's disease in middle age. We've gotten to the point now where we can tell a person, we can examine a person and determine whether they're carrying that dominant allele, whether the Huntington's disease will show up in their life, during their life. Now, let me ask you something. If one of your parents developed Huntington's disease, it means that you have a 50-50 chance of also developing the disease. Would you want to be tested? Would you want to know that at this point in your life? Is that something you'd want to know?
Probably would, but I mean, it's not really.
Okay, Mark says that he probably would. Some of us may not want to know. It just depends on the individual. But look at the consequences of knowing and not knowing. If you do know, it means that you can take some precautions with your own family, couldn't you, as far as having children and so forth. You'd know that they'd have the possibility of also contracting the disease. And that may play some bearing in planning your own family. You may also have some bearing in how you plan your own life, because you'd know that when you reach middle age, you'd develop this disease and you'd die from it. On the other hand, not knowing may allow you to go about living a little bit of a freer life, knowing that you're not condemned to suffer the consequences of this disease in middle age. And so it's a two-edged sword, is what I'm really saying. As while there are some potential benefits, it raises some real serious ethical questions. When should we tell a person they're carrying Huntington's disease? Should we tell a person in middle age, just before the onset of the disease? Should we tell a person when they're teenagers? Or would that be too much of a psychological burden to bear? Do we tell them as children? When do you tell a person they carry Huntington's disease? It becomes a real dilemma. There's an even more significant dilemma, and that is that we can also test for the presence of Huntington's disease in the uterus. In other words, before a child is ever born. Now, what that means is that parents are faced with an awful decision to make. If they find out that the fetus that the woman is carrying has Huntington's disease, she really has two options currently in our society. She can either decide to terminate that pregnancy, abort the fetus, or she can decide to go ahead and let that child be born. Now look at the dilemma that that woman faces, because if she aborts the fetus, that child would have had a normal life up until middle age. Everything would have been absolutely normal. And that now has been sacrificed. But on the other hand, if she decides to bear that child we know will suffer the consequences of that disease in middle age. So it's a terrible moral question. Something about genetic manipulation, the controversy involved in fiddling with our genes. In essence, this is the very thing that makes us individuals, is our genetic code. And we've said this before, and it really isn't overemphasizing it to say that the reason that you are different from another species, the reason that you look different from a cat, for example, is because your genetic code is different than a cat. If we start shuffling genes between human beings and cats, we exchange traits between those two species, something that most of us really wouldn't want to contemplate doing. Some people see the manipulation of our genetic code as playing God, essentially, treading in areas where we really have no business treading, fiddling with things that we ought to leave alone. The problem is this: what you consider to be legitimate research in genetic engineering may not be considered legitimate by another person. Let me give you some examples, and some of these are examples of things that are currently being done, and others are kind of silly examples, frankly. But let me see where you draw the line. I'd like you to, just to yourself, don't need to raise your hands or anything, but answer the question: do you consider this to be a legitimate area of research, or do you not consider it to be legitimate? And we'll find that that line is different for each of us. What about correcting diseases in adults? In other words, correcting the bone marrow cells in a person that has some sort of a blood disease so that the blood cells that are produced now are correct cells, and the person no longer suffers the consequence of that disease. Well, for most of us, that probably isn't much of a problem, especially if that person happened to be us or a family member, and there was a potential then for treating the disease in that way. However, there's a fundamental difference between correcting a disease in an adult and correcting that disease in the germline, in other words, in the zygote, so that the correction will be passed from generation to generation. Is it okay to correct disorders in the zygote so that we've altered the genetic makeup of that lineage from now on? Well, if it's a terrible disease again, for most of us that probably isn't going to cause too much problem. Some people would say no, that we shouldn't fiddle with that master genetic code for an entire lineage, for an entire germline. All right, what about this? One thing I should mention: the alternative to not correcting the genetic code in a zygote is to either let that individual suffer the consequences of that disorder, or, as is currently quite often done in our society, is to abort that fetus. And so you have to weigh the alternatives, however you happen to stand on those issues. What about inserting human genes into animals? What about splicing genes from people and inserting them into animals for some reason, whatever that reason happens to be? Some people might think that's going too far. However, you should be aware that we're doing that routinely now, that genes from humans are being transplanted into animals, and especially into bacteria. What about the reverse? What about taking the genes from animals and inserting them into human beings? Now, we've probably crossed the line for many of us at that point, and we think that that's probably overstepping the bounds where we ought to tread, really, in taking genes from a non-human and inserting them into a human being. Theoretically, there's no reason why that shouldn't be possible. Okay, now how about a little bit sillier ones, a little bit more far-fetched? Actually, they're not that far-fetched. Theoretically, there's no reason why it shouldn't be possible. What about making people taller? Now, when I say making people taller, I'm not now talking about correcting dwarfism. Some people have a real problem even with that, by the way, correcting dwarfism. But what about making a person of average height taller? Maybe Dad wants his son to be a basketball player, so we engineer the gene so that son will grow a little bit taller and maybe be a little bit better basketball player. Well, I think we've probably stepped over the line for some of us at that point. What about making people smarter? Engineering their genes so that our offspring are a little bit smarter, maybe than we were or previous generations. What's this beginning to sound a little bit like? Does it sound at all familiar?
So you're trying to make your perfect race.
You're trying to make the perfect race, or the master race. It almost sounds like Hitler's ideas, doesn't it? Of setting up in our minds what we consider to be the ideal individual, and then in trying to perfect the race to get that ideal individual. Now, Hitler was doing it with selective breeding of human beings, but we might conceivably do it much more rapidly with genetic engineering. What about making people more attractive? Well, the question immediately becomes, what's more attractive? What's attractive to you may not be attractive to another person, and who's to say what's more attractive? Who's to say that brown eyes are any more attractive than blue eyes, or the other way around, or whatever? And so it really becomes a sticky moral question. Okay, here's a silly one. What about making people photosynthetic? In other words, make it so that they can produce their own food. This would be awfully handy, wouldn't it? Because now when you came to school or to work or wherever, you wouldn't have to pack a lunch with you. You just go sit in the sun for an hour and manufacture your own food. We'd solve the world's hunger problem immediately if we were to do that. There is a downside to it. You'd have to be green in order to be photosynthetic. Okay, well, we've pole vaulted over that line, probably, for most of us, with making people photosynthetic. But it does bring up an important point, and that is the line is different for different individuals. So who should decide? Who should decide what areas of research are legitimate and what areas of research are not legitimate? For example, currently in the United States, it is acceptable to correct a problem or to treat a problem through genetic engineering in an adult, such as a bone marrow transplant or something like that. However, it's not currently acceptable, it's not currently legal to change a germline, to correct a defect in a zygote and change that genetic code then in that lineage from then on. Currently that isn't allowed. Doesn't mean it won't be in the future. Who should decide? How about the legislature? Should the legislature decide? Are the people that we elect as our elected representatives qualified to make those sorts of decisions? Do they know enough about the issues? Would you feel comfortable letting them make those decisions for you? What about courts? What about a judge making the decision? Well, actually that's being done quite a little bit right now. Lawsuits are filed and judges do have to make rulings on whether we'll release certain organisms to the environment. What about scientists? What about the people that are actually doing the research work? Should they make the decisions? Can you see any potential problems in letting the scientists make the decisions?
Yeah, maybe get too involved.
Okay. Yeah, quite possibly. They might get too involved in a research project, too interested in the possible outcome, and maybe do things that we don't consider to be right, something that we don't consider to be a legitimate area of research. We've had a couple of examples of scientists getting too involved perhaps in their work. There is a man currently doing research work in Montana, at Montana State University, on Dutch elm disease in elm trees. You may be aware that Dutch elm disease has absolutely devastated the American elm. It's a fungal disease, and as soon as the trees get going, this fungus attacks them and the trees die. The elm was considered to be a beautiful tree, and people would like to find some means of combating this disease. Well, this researcher has been able to engineer a bacterial strain that is able to combat, apparently, this Dutch elm disease. And he became so caught up in his research that without going through the proper channels, he injected this engineered form into about 10 elm trees on the campus there at Montana State University. And when people found out that this had occurred, there was an absolute uproar. People were just incensed that he'd released this organism. As a result of that, the trees were cut down. They were cut down and burned. So there is a potential, perhaps, for people to sidestep some of the safety measures and precautions because they get caught up in their own research. In this particular instance, the bacteria probably would have caused no harm whatsoever. It was a very legitimate area of research and could have made real significant contributions to fighting this disease. But that's really not the point. The point is, scientists may not follow the right rules if they get caught up in their own work. So maybe they're not the ones to make the decision. What about religious leaders? After all, often we turn to religious leaders for answers to moral questions. If we decide it is religious leaders, which religious leaders? Religions are very different, aren't they? The Ayatollah Khomeini may have entirely different ideas from the Pope, for example, on what research should be legitimate and what shouldn't. And so we open up an entirely new problem then if we decide that those sorts of people ought to make those decisions. What about society as a whole? Should we vote on it? Should it come up for referendum so that you actually have a chance to cast your ballot? Should we allow this sort of research or should we not? The real question becomes, are we informed enough as a society to make those sorts of decisions? Can we look at an issue and make a correct decision? And in many cases, the answer might be no. There's a lot of hysteria that surrounds this whole issue of genetic engineering, and a lot of misinformation. There was an article recently in the local paper about using the new molecular techniques, biotechnology in court cases, and it was against using it. And really, the author of the article displayed a complete lack of understanding about the techniques and about the accuracy of those techniques. The controversy will undoubtedly continue, and it will continue throughout your lifetime. We're just barely crossing the threshold of this sort of research. Things that we're doing now were absolutely unimaginable 10 years ago. Absolutely unimaginable. If you told people what we're doing now, making plants that carry a gene for luminescence that's been transplanted from a firefly, they would have laughed in your face. It would have seemed so improbable and impossible. And what we're doing then is just barely getting started. Almost anything you can imagine doing by manipulating the genetic code will probably be within the realm of possibility in the near future. We're making great strides. What I'm really saying is that in this general biology class, the class is really designed for non-majors, for people that don't intend to go into life science or a life science related field. People that will be going into the humanities or becoming lawyers or accountants or doing something entirely different than biology. Long after you've left this class and long after you've forgotten all about cell division and long after you've forgotten all about exactly the way photosynthesis works, you will be faced with this question, with what should we be doing with genetic engineering and what should we not be doing. And you should be well informed. You should understand the potential for good in this sort of research and some of the concerns with this sort of research. Because you'll be, as the next generation, you'll be called upon to help make these decisions about what will be allowed and what won't be allowed. I'd like to challenge you over the next few weeks as we finish the course to watch the news magazines and watch the newspaper and television and watch for new advances that are being made in genetic engineering. I guarantee you that if you keep your eyes peeled, hardly a week will go by where there won't be some new article appearing in the paper about some new advance that's been made. That's how rapidly this field is advancing. So something you certainly ought to be informed about. Kind of an interesting topic. Are there any questions about genetic engineering today before we move along? Any questions? All right, well, let's go on then to our next topic. And this is our major topic for this second section of the course. And this is Mendelian inheritance. In other words, genetics. Now, at this point, we've climbed to the next step in the little ladder we've been describing throughout the course. Let me draw it out one more time for you. Remember, at the first of the course, I said as we proceeded, we'd organize our topics in this fashion. We'd start with atoms. We'd talk about the characteristics of atoms, and then we'd describe how atoms bond together to make molecules and compounds. And we spent some time talking about some very important organic and inorganic compounds. And then we climbed the next step up and we talked about how cells are put together from these various molecules and compounds. And so we spent several days on cells. And in fact, at this point, we're just finishing up the cellular level. We're finished now with things that relate to cells. And we're ready to make the next step. We're kind of skipping a couple of steps that we might insert here and going now to organisms. In other words, entire individuals. And to begin our discussion of organisms, we're going to talk about the genetics of organisms, the patterns we see in the transmission of traits from one generation to the next. And we're getting to the end of our class period today, but we have just enough time to kind of give you an introduction before we get into the details next period. First of all, we have to look back at ideas about genetics before Gregor Mendel. Gregor Mendel will be a very important name in this section of the course. Going clear back to the time of the Greeks, the time of Aristotle, there was an idea called pangenesis. The idea of pangenesis was kind of, as I said, first suggested by the ancient Greeks, but really picked up by Darwin and expanded by Darwin. The idea is this, that different regions of the body produce little teeny tiny particles called gemmules. In other words, your hand will produce hand gemmules, and your hair would produce hair gemmules, and so forth. And that at reproduction, the gemmules from the various parts of the body will flow through the blood to the reproductive organs and be passed to the next generation. Now, this is kind of a neat little explanation, because what it does is it allows us to explain why our offspring tend to look like us. You've noticed this before, obviously, that you tend to look more like your parents than the neighbor looks like your parents. Obviously, you've received some instructions from your parents that give you a certain common look. We mentioned this before, but sometimes if you run into a member of a family you're acquainted with, in some families, family resemblances may be so strong that you know immediately that that person is a member of the Taylor family because they look so much like the other members of the family. Obviously, there's been something passed from the parents to the offspring. Well, of course, people at the time of Darwin and previously had no idea what genes were. They really had no idea about patterns of inheritance. So this seems a nice explanation. These little particles or gemmules would pass from the various regions of the body through the blood to our offspring, through the reproductive organs, and so they tend to look like us. Do you remember Weissman's experiment with mice? Remember, he was the guy that we said bred the mice over many, many generations, about 27, 28 generations, and at every generation he'd cut the tails off the mice and then allow them to grow up and reproduce. If this idea of pangenesis or gemmules had been correct, what should have happened in those subsequent generations of mice? Short tails or no tails, right? Because after all, those mice didn't have any tails to produce tail gemmules. We couldn't send tail gemmules to the next generation. Therefore, we should have seen a diminishing tail or no tail whatsoever. This experiment pretty well spelled an end to this idea of pangenesis. Now, we're out of time today, really. Tomorrow we'll continue on, talk a little bit more about the history of ideas about inheritance, and then explain Mendel's critical work in this area, and talk about some of the work that's gone on since the time of Mendel. We've made great strides in understanding how traits are passed. We'll see you then tomorrow.
Welcome to our discussion today, which is lesson number 19 on managing risk. I, Dave Litchford, I'm glad that you could join us today from the campus of Utah Valley Community College. We also want to extend again a warm welcome to those students who are being guinea pigs during this whole quarter and taking this course along with their regular studies. We welcome you, Susan. We're glad that you wore a red top that can easily be noticeable on camera. Chris, we're glad to have you again today. Melba, you look as chirpy as ever. And Michelle, you look kind of cold today. Is it cold in here? A little bit. Okay, and Rick, you look good in yellow. I'm glad to have you here today. And today we're going to talk about something that I think that all of us won't spend a whole lot of time worrying about, but we should, and that is the importance of risk in a business organization. And those of you that are taking this course at home, today's discussion will be taken from chapter 15 in your required textbooks called Chapter 15 is Risk and Insurance. So this information, if you can read this, this will give you additional support to the concepts we'll talk about today in our discussion here. Well, as we talk about managing risk, let's kind of go into the future. During our